Because that is how I like all our speakers to be greeted on stage. It gives them confidence, it gives them energy, and it makes them feel good about themselves. So that's what we want to hear. My name is Emma Brain, and I'll be your host for the next 3 days. And I'm delighted to welcome you all here to Dubai 22's edition of the Marketing 2.0 conference. We had a fantastic time in our spring edition, and we are here back again. And this time with more engaging sessions and more networking opportunities, so you can take your brand to that next level. And this, our winter edition, has a well thought and carefully picked agenda that will compile the strategies and successes of secrets of the world's top brands as you actively participate in discussions and debates around buzzworthy topics. And of course, do a lot of networking, and we want to see cooperation and collaboration, because that's what it's all about. We are extremely lucky to have the support of our gold sponsor. A big thank you to Samina Chowdhury, top producing luxury real estate agent and partner at Keller Williams Lucido Agency. So thank you very much to them. If we could give them a nice round of applause, that's fantastic. Otherwise, we would not be here. And it's time to get into our sessions, but before that, I'd like to remind you all you can catch up on the Marketing 2.0 conferences happenings on our socials. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and LinkedIn. And the hashtag we'd like you to use, if you please, is hashtag marketing2CONF. So let's get today's learning processes underway with the first session right here now. And before I start, just a couple of little housekeeping things, if that's okay. I am a stickler for time. There is a timer on the comfort screen. Please keep a note of it. Otherwise, don't make me be like the Oscars music and come on and play you off, because that would not be a good thing. I like to get to where I want to go on time. We are using handheld microphones, so just be mindful of where you need to hold them in front of your face. About 3 inches away from your face is normally good, but most of all, have fun, have lively, energetic discussions. Now, in the aftermath of the pandemic, the world of sales has seen significant changes. Where should a salesperson look for leads in the age of new technology and unforeseen events? Well, we kick off with a fireside chat called Post-Pandemic Prospecting, A Brave New World, which is going to answer some of those questions. And first up, I'd like to welcome our wonderful moderator, Dr. Sreekumar Vadakkeppat. He's the founder and CEO of Business Yogi Results Coaching. Dr. Sreekumar, if you'd like to come up, nice big round of applause. Thank you so much. And joining him are our speakers, Steve Dunn, who is the Technical Experience Director of Abstract Visible, and Anna Tkachenko, CEO of STRATEGIZZE. Please welcome them all to the stage.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Okay.
Good morning.
So this is about post-pandemic prospecting, a brand new way. And I think you're all excited about listening to this, right? Isn't it? Yeah. Oh, very good. Right. So before starting, you know the importance of prospecting, right? I want to tell you, take a minute. Take a minute. And I want you to listen from prospecting is not marketing. I'll tell you later more about this.
Do you agree with that?
Before
we're going to disagree with you.
Don't interrupt, moderator.
Before getting into that, let me introduce Steve. I have to read, actually. Let me, Steve Dunn, founder and technical experience director at Abstract Visible in Dubai. Steve has designed award-winning operating systems at some of the largest marketing and media agencies in the world. His work is recognized as visionary by Gartner and gold accredited by Adweek UK. And he helps consultancies and agencies win business and improve efficiency by leveraging technology. So he is bridging the gap between you and your customers, to put it very short, right? That's great. And he's having 15 years of experience in this. Okay, I'll ask more about him with Steve itself. Let me move to Anna, the CEO of the strategic marketing agency, Strategize in Dubai. She's having 9 international and local awards, including the top 50 marketing and advertising leaders award, the best DMCC promoter award 3 years straight, and the best marketing campaign award from the world's #1 free zone DMCC. Her expertise span over 15 years in digital marketing, PR, e-commerce, video production, business consulting, and she helps SMEs and startups to grow your business, strategic marketing consulting, right? Excellent. So, for a good start, may I know how many of you are into B2B? How many of you are into B2C? So how many of you are into B2B? Okay, around 30-40% of them. Yeah. So rest of all, with respect to B2C? Okay. Nobody in between, right? B2, B2B, B2, B2BC. Right. So, where is the timer? I can't see. So this actually gives me, ask you, Steve. I know you are having enough of experience from the world of technology, using technology. Like, we are good, everybody knows technology and we use technology, especially now. But how many of you are leveraging technology? I really like the term leveraging technology by Steve, and I really want to know more about from your experience and how do you start your business of this?
I'll talk about how I started my business and the need that I'm serving. Then I'll pass over to Anna to explain what she does and why she does what she does. And then we'll get into the topic of the chat, which is post-pandemic prospecting. Anna will talk into trends around that. I'm a little bit more on the operational side, so we'll get into the leveraging of technology, but it leads with the customer experience, and that's the shifting of behavior that we've seen across the world and something specific to the region. So, super high level. Thank you for the introduction. My name's Steve. I do technical experience consulting, so I bridge the gap between marketing and IT in the ever more increasing complex world of modern marketing. Over to you, Anna.
No, I started my business only 2.5 years back, but I have over 15 years experience in marketing, completely different spheres. And the reason why I did it, because I saw how competitive actually the marketing business is and how huge is the niche for SMEs here in the UAE. Most of the marketing agencies never want to work with SMEs. They are running only after big ticket clients and the governmental projects in here, and the competition there is high, but actually even advertising agencies don't analyze the market. 90% of the market are SMEs. So I dived into that niche, and since then, 2.5 years, we are thriving, everything's fine, and we don't have many competitors on the market with what we do till now. So that's what I'm into.
I really appreciate when we were discussing, she said the moment she started, do the business, what actually attracted was the serving the world of SMEs and startups, isn't it? Right. So what you see, so with these years of experience and what do you see the difference pre-pandemic and post-pandemic with respect to prospecting?
Before pandemic, obviously, agencies, companies generally, they had the understanding of their customer profile, more or less. You know, they already more or less established in the markets, everything was fine because the customer profile usually doesn't change very often within the generation. You know, unless some big social, economical, political, whatever, you know, changes happen to the market. So they roll, you know, as it goes. So they just do maybe some corrections in their strategies once in 2-3 years. This is the best case scenario, you know. But even advertising agencies, you know how many clients we have, work we have, and our advertising, we do the last one, you know, like on the weekends, at night, you know, like this. But the problem is that most of agencies, they didn't readjust, and most of companies, they didn't readjust after the pandemic. What happened? They were like, oh yeah, pandemic will pass. Everything will be fine again. You know, we'll come back to the same situation. But it changed not just drastically, but it changed like completely, and they are not adjusted.
And that's the distinction for the UAE market, in fact. Consumer confidence in economic bounce back was higher in the UAE almost than anywhere else in the world. In fact, I need to ask the question because we don't know enough about our audience beyond B2B, B2C, so making an assumption that we're in the UAE and the market is here, but I've already met people that have flown in from India. So to help with a show of hands, a 50-50 split, could you please raise your hand if most of your customers are in the UAE? Great, so that's a minority. Could you please raise your hand if most of your customers are in India? Could you please raise your hand if most of your customers are in Europe? And could you please raise your hand if most of your customers are in North America? Okay. That's going to steer our conversation.
Yes, Steve, but I can't agree with you, you know, this, like, I'm not basing my, the best benefit of my company is I'm not basing my words on just my expertise, you know, expertise is just a PR, okay? Like, I'm basing it on data. I'm always basing everything I say on data. So this is accumulated data for the whole world, you know? And this is the social changes in the behavior of consumers around the whole world. And during the last 2 years, we did so many projects and used this data about the change of the consumer behavior, you know, towards different brands. And it worked for different regions. For Taiwan, for Kazakhstan, for Russia, for Canada, by the way.
So when you say customer behavior, what do you see as their expectation?
These days, customers want everything and at once. This is the thing, you know, like if to put it very shortly, okay? Previously, maybe they wanted, like only like high-end customers wanted everything in one place, you know? But nowadays, they have very high expectations for the money saving, first of all, because many businesses, many people lost their jobs during pandemic, you know, and this is not about that they restored their income after that. The pandemic lasted long enough, you know, their struggles were quite long enough to make them acquire new habits, saving habits, considering whether they need certain products or services, really need them or don't. And it's like extra, you know. So first of all, the main, like as per statistic, I think around more than 57% of consumers, they are saying they need value for money. And first of all, like money savings, that's why everyone, like the companies now, everywhere you can see they're like giving deals, like the whole year round, not just Christmas deals, but this is also wrong strategy for the companies. This is not correct to do that. They're just getting hysterical, so. Value for money, then they want good digital experience. This is must have, like around, I think 60-something%, I'm sorry, I don't remember full numbers, of respondents said that they will switch from a brand because of poor user experience. They want to be user-friendly. They don't care that websites, their favorites, maybe brands, even some small niche brands, they didn't have proper websites before the pandemic. They don't care now. They want it to be proper. They want to save their time and money. They want to buy everything online, as much online as possible. This is for UAE, for any country mostly. And what was else? Good customer service, delivery options, so that they get everything in one place. And first, most important also, there was personalization.
Exactly.
Personalization of any experience, customization even of products, packaging, assembly, whatever, possible. I want this,
Right.
this plus this in one bag, and it's wrapped for me. And they don't care. If you don't give it, they will go to another.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that says the importance of technology. See, without technology,
specifically user experience and personalization.
Exactly.
I think we need to drill more into these topics. I'm running with the assumption that most people who've come here today understand the global trends of the impact of the global pandemic. Consumers are more wary of their spend. Consumers are spending more time online, therefore expectations are increasing due to something called, in my word, liquid customer expectations. So digital experiences are compared cross-category. So your Airbnbs, your Ubers, your Amazons, they're setting the trend for all digital customer experiences, which raises the bar. And then the personalization effort that comes off the back of that, I think many people here today with limited resources, as everybody has, would like to know where they should be spending their budget for next year. And I'd like to drill into those two topics for clarity of the conversation around, okay, 50% increased spend online. What can we do to improve user experience? Where should we be focusing? Should we be focusing on strategy? Should we be focusing on templating? Should we focus on dynamic content? And that comes into the personalization effort, as if to say, okay, personalization sits across all of this, but should I be looking to personalize more in my communications effort, talking into CRM, talking into first-party data? Should I be looking to find my solution for the cookie now? I've already started. I'm not quite sure about my solution. How can I bind third-party to first-party to improve my personalization efforts? I'm driving to a point here, which is we as speakers have a responsibility to help you. And if we haven't, we've failed. And we'll give enough time to questions at the end. But we've done a bunch of preparation. Anna, you have so much knowledge on strategy. Talk about your specialism. Talk about the projects you've been working on and the problems that you've been solving for your clients. Because what you're doing day to day, the people in the room today will be able to then attach to their business problems. And we can really get today moving.
I think you forgot you're not a moderator, right? Why don't we start from your projects, huh?
We can start from mine. Okay.
Yeah.
So personalization in marketing and also user experience. A case study. 4 years ago.
Steve, 1 second. Sorry to interrupt. See, experience as a matter, it was there. UX, it was there even before the pandemic also. But how about personalization? Yes, definitely UX is required for personalization, giving that personal experience. But how do you see this pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, the usage of technology, user experience, and personalization, putting all three together?
Personalization is a means to drive customer lifetime value. This is about repeat purchase. Your more valuable customers are the customers that you already have. And there was a massive loyalty reset in the pandemic. In the UAE alone, 95% of customers switch brands, switch preference. This means to say that loyalty doesn't exist here. And the UAE is an outlier there. The numbers are less in other parts of the world, but certainly the trend is there. So personalization is not necessarily the end goal. The end goal is customer lifetime value, which is the customers that I already have, I want to keep, and I want them to be spending more money with me.
Yeah, but they are switching brands not just in the UAE. We read the statistics only about UAE. For USA, I'm sorry for being sarcastic.
Yeah, I mean, talking to, I don't know the North American market, so talking to the North American market.
So yeah, for this USA, the situation is the same. Company users, they were initially started searching for new brands and switching brands, and there was huge reduction in brand loyalty during pandemic because not just because of shortage of money, but because brands did not very good job during that time. There was a big shortage of stocks. Their customer behavior, customer service was at such low point, the delivery times were bad. Even they were not calming down their customers, and then not pampering them, nothing. So even so much audience was lost by very big brands, like huge brands. You know how many retail spaces were closed after that. Because people, first of all, switched to online. Secondly, they reverted to smaller brands. But this is good, So all the SMEs, they started growing, small businesses. Plus, in the US, there is a huge support. There was, during the pandemic, the huge support of local business started, small local business, so that they survive, they don't shut down, because they have to feed their families. So this is not just local change, this is a global change. Yes, in some countries this is more, it is less, like vivid, but it is there.
So, and one question. So when you're saying, what I'm saying is, earlier if you look at a suspect, a lead, and a prospect. Now what you're saying, and the current trend is, starting itself, we need to look at somebody as a prospect. So using all these things, customer behavior, when you said personalization, or the user experience and all that, you're making them as a prospect from the beginning or not?
This ties to Anna's point. She's absolutely correct around long-term strategy. So the big shift, at least strategically, which is getting from point A to point B, which prospecting is the tip of the spear.
Correct.
Having that all company strategy meeting or heads of strategy meeting once every couple of years to set some KPIs, and then hope that your key departments across customer experience, data and insight, technology, operations do what they need to do to get there. When that end destination changes, sort of use this analogy of a four-wheel drive with those four departments moving towards an end goal, which it did overnight for many brands during the pandemic, then how does your organization adapt? And I think that's a really important question. And part of my response to that is looking at strategy as less of a fixed deliverable, certainly less around acquisition, as I mentioned, more on customer lifetime value and retention. But having more of a cultural mindset of always on strategy and experimentation. I mean, Amazon, for example, they deployed their code base every 8 seconds. That's an example of the investments that they've made in experimentation. So every 8 seconds, your unique ID can land on Amazon, and you can be presented a different layout and a different combination of products. I mean, Amazon is setting the bar in terms of personalization, but it's certainly something we can learn on. So how companies have adapted or need to be adapting to the impact of the pandemic is that the end goal might well change again. And how can we as an organization, across customer experience, across data and insight, across technology, across operations, guided by good process as well, be in tune with our company's prospecting model to change when we need to change.
Right. So, given by that, what is the significance, importance with respect to marketing strategies as a marketer, and how it is important in the post-pandemic prospecting time? And
how is what important exactly?
How significant it is? How, when you talk about how in depth we need to go into the strategizing, or what do you see it? How do you see it?
This is my business about, and it's like, actually, the reason why I was so much concerned, and constantly I'm speaking about the importance of market analysis and this proper strategy in hand just before you even just apply for the company formation license, you know, in any country, before you even like put one penny, you know, for your business, because people literally don't understand where they're going, businesses. Like, you know, that 90%, as per the CB Insights statistics, 90% of startups fail. This is now, like, I think 2 years back it was around 70 or something, you know, now it's 90%. 37 of them fail, out of them, they fail because of very bad product market fit. And 22% of them failed because of lack of the proper marketing strategy. This is a huge number. And when I was starting business, I couldn't believe, you know, really, you know, these big guys with big money, they don't understand what is strategic approach. No, they don't. You know, so that's why the way I created my just market analysis and strategy, they are not just standard like Deloitte does, you know, or any other company does. They are based completely on everything what clients need to launch their successful brands, you know, business. So it's not just about marketing, it's about the strategy for everything, you know. If they need, I can see they have very poor sales system, you know, they don't understand the processes in sales, so I'm giving them advices for that, you know. I see they have an awful website, but they're like, oh my gosh, we have just done it. Okay, but I don't care, I explain why this is not working and why this will not happen. So every time when I'm onboarding a new client, I spend several hours explaining the importance of analytics and strategy. And we never onboard a client without a market analysis and a strategy. This is my principle. If they come just for social media, there are so many social media companies, you know.
Yep.
Why? Because I would not be working with a client who has like, I want unicorns, you know, everywhere. I want kittens on my social media page. No, like we all love kittens, but if it's not, you know, like in the line with your strategy, never. Because I need to also, not like, you know, this is my point of view, never. I need to show the data to prove, to explain to the client, look, this is data. Data is gender neutral. Data is not nationality biased, you know. It's not country biased, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So he can't tell me anything like, you know, he may not like me, but he can't disagree with data, you know. And he sees the data, he sees what their customers are looking for, what are the trends, what real competitors are doing on the market, you know. He's like, okay, this is eye-opening.
So when personalization, when she's saying, she's actually practicing it also to her own clients.
Every
that's her
single
success.
client, yes.
I see that.
And then we fully customize. Then I have the full onboarding meeting with the client after the market research is done. And I try to get all the reasons why they want to do business, how they want to do business, like how far they want to grow. Because
Yes.
I can create a wonderful strategy.
Absolutely.
But if it's not in line with their inner wishes
Yeah.
and budget, they will be like, oh, it's so amazing, thank you so much, let me put it aside, you know? And they will never do it. So, but if it's aligned, like you give them their dream business, you know, they're like, oh, yeah, let's do it.
So if I
like
say,
children, literally, you know, they're so happy. And such clients, they like this, I practice also, this makes them stay with me for years, you know. After getting this, they're like, okay, we don't want to go anywhere because she knows the business, our business better even than we do.
right.
Would you say part of your job is cultural transformation, in the sense that this is to my point about always on prospecting. You're talking about it that one step deeper, and okay, I'm walking into a client's business and I'm coaching them in the importance of their data and analytics,
let's say
the
so,
customer
you know, I
data,
have
and then
such-
you talked about the business priorities beyond
Such
that.
big, you know, wish for businesses to understand the importance of marketing more. It will be easier to sell to them then, you know. But when that's why I talked to, last time when I was on this conference, MedCon, I talked to so many agencies. There were so many agencies there. I talked to them and I asked them a question, what is your average lifespan of a client? They told me like like on average, this was like around 6 to 7 months, and then we have big clients who are staying with us for a long time. So like, why such a short time? And they were like, we don't know, but most of them, they said, because clients don't understand the value of marketing, they can't wait for this long time, they want fast results. And when they don't see miracle happening, this, marketing miracle thing, we all saw it so many times, and they are like, okay, who is the first fired marketer, like, we need to cut expenses, marketer, like. So in this situation, I understood, so I shouldn't be fighting with this. You shouldn't, if you have, the situation, you shouldn't be fighting it. You can work with it, use it. And I understood it's better for me to educate them. How I should create the product which will educate them. So that's why I'm not writing such reports which are difficult for them to comprehend. I'm not putting all these marketing terms inside, like I put like just a bit of them, small explanations, very simple, big pictures, a lot of not too much of text, a lot of beautiful pictures of relevant products, and they are like, they are like children opening the playbook, like, oh, it's so nice, so interesting. And then I explain them, like in the consultations, very detailed until they will understand who they are, where they are at the market now, how it will be for them, in future, what will happen if they will do this, if they will do that, if they will do this. And it's like even their craziest ideas, I'm not afraid never to say no or say yeah, if it's proven. And then we build a strategy. That's why here comes the whole personalization. And yeah, like, then they don't ask questions. When you explain to them like this, they are not running after me, where are my results after 2 months? They understand the process. They're just waiting patiently, and they are happy. And if they ask something or they want to argue with you, like, for example, no, we will not do that because I don't like it. I want, again, for example, these horses to be there, I don't know. Open the just analysis and look at it. Open the strategy, look at it. And that's it, the argument is finished.
Right.
So this is really helping to convert them for agencies.
There's a few topics at play here, and in the interest of clarity, I'm kind of going to look to list them out in some level of sequence, and then we'll talk into it. When I work with my clients, the first thing I want to understand is what their individual performance goals are. We work with other humans, and these humans have jobs, and these jobs are inside businesses. So they work with me to further their personal goals, and it sounds egotistical, but it is, and it's more prevalent here in the UAE, I believe, than certainly in Scandinavia, where I used to work, polar opposite. And what's difficult about acquisition-driven quarterly performance metrics is that's an old school marketing KPI. That's a campaign-driven, big bang impact, billboards above the line performance that doesn't drive customer lifetime value, doesn't drive repeat purchase. This is the point now around data. And
very interesting point. Yeah.
The other example is working with clients who, as individuals in their companies, are not given a quarterly sales KPI, but are given a hopefully yearly CLV percentage uplift goal. And this is the shift that I've experienced, and I think it's a global trend where marketing is, excuse me for sort of simplifying, but it's less sales-driven and it's more science-driven. Yeah. And that requires a completely different type of mindset.
Can I ask you to repeat that? Less sales-driven?
Less sales-driven, more science-driven. It's incremental. Personalization is incremental. It's optimizations, it's experimentations, it's testing and learning.
Right.
And to my Amazon example, Amazon didn't become big overnight, right? And our friend Jeff was poor for many years. But I imagine this is what sits underneath your clients' frictions in adopting a data and analytics first mindset, which is modern prospecting.
Right.
And then if that's a struggle, it's most likely connected to how those individuals are judged by their performance within their companies. So the conversation needs to go one step higher. Say, can you convince your boss, your shareholders, your board members to change the way by which your performance is judged at work towards percentage uplift in CRV and away from sales
but
targets?
like what I was telling, it was not just like, to speak about my company, but it was to explain that you need to understand your customer behavior very, very well and segment the customer base as much as possible. And especially for SMEs, if you don't have a lot of budget, first of all, they never have money. No, it's not like this. They never have money for marketing, okay? Unless you explain them the value. And then they have it.
Not
okay?
only explaining them, you are actually proving it to them.
It's
Yeah, and then they have it,
giving the demonstration of it, right?
Yes, and the thing is, that after pandemic, many companies and even agencies, they never reconsidered and updated the analysis of their consumers, First of all, obviously, you can't be fully analyzing just the data of your customers during the pandemic and say, okay, it will be, for eternity. No, this was a very stressful situation, so it changed, it still readjusted after pandemic. But you need to, now the situation is stabilizing, okay, more or less. You need to, again, do the customer profile, check the market, so many new trends appear there, so many product substitutes, companies, like services substitutes. People changed not just from big brands, they changed to substitutes. They gave up on something and started using something else, So you need to check whether they really need your services. Maybe they need some other of your services. Maybe you need to repackage your services. Like even for myself, constantly analyzing the market. Now I'm sitting and looking at my analysis structure, strategy structure, and then like, okay, we are readjusting it. And we are working for repackaging it, because I can see different trends now. Like among my customers, I constantly question them at each stage. Are you happy? What do you like? What do you want? What would you like to do? If they don't want to tell me, they will tell my assistant, chit chat, coffee, all this, Everyone wants to knock, about something. So get that information from your clients. Then analyze the markets, the trends. And if previously I was recommending to do it for my clients like once per year, you do the initial market analysis and the strategy, and then you do the update once per year. But till now the situation will stabilize, the situation with the war and everything, it has almost global impact now, and long term, doesn't have like huge, but long term, and it's changing many situations in the market. So because of relocation of people, relocation of funds and everything. So you may ask.
I think all this
so
what
you
has
need
been
to readjust,
what I've been discussing, I think I'm listening from these are the new prospecting trends. All that what has been discussing since in the beginning. And anything else you need to add on to that, Steve?
Yeah, loads. First party data. You've got to own your data. Many of you might be sat here with, do I invest in social? Do I invest in CRM? CRM is the answer. There is a emerging trend of CRM social, and that's the binding of first and third party data. And that's to take a step back. First party data is the data that customers willingly give you. So on a digital property, you have a sign-up form. They give you your email address. You start some email flows, and you can, by law, you own the rights to that customer's clicking in email. And there are emerging solutions to the disappearance of the cookie. I don't have a recommendation for one. I worked on one for WPP during my time there. Essentially, it's a tracking code similar to GA that you put into your website, and then you can send tracking data from your website or app to your CRM system and bind first and third party data. And you can also do that with social. So the future of prospecting for me is combining those 3 buckets of data. There's 2 buckets of third party data. I mean, you could argue whether or not social is one of them, but social and browsing data to your declared first party data set to be able to personalize at scale, if that is your ambition. The other side of this is channel optimization, but that's a completely different discussion.
I fully agree with you. This is very important that any company is like using data-driven approach, and they customize and hyper-personalize everything, you know, what's possible. You know, but obviously aligned with some strategy. You know, it's time to do the strategy. It's already not enough to sit and to tell, like, where do your customers coming from? Oh, they're coming 90% from referrals. No. During pandemic, each second freelancer opened the company. Come on, you know? Like when I was setting up the company, I was like, yes, also setting up during pandemic, but due other reasons. I was planning to do it so already for a year. Just pandemic came and facilitated it all, you know? But during the time when I was setting up, I remember around 10 companies were set up by like friends of friends, you know, for marketing only. And after 2 years, I met one big marketer also in Dubai. We just went for coffee. And he said, my gosh, I'm so proud of you. You're so cool. I said, why? You know, like we were working. He said, no, you survived. I know so many marketers who already shut down. You know, so it means, you know, I mean, you have to think about that the competition is there. You know, don't just sit, you know, fight for your clients.
But what about, you know, what I want is also, then it is not important, or what is your take on this? Because when you say, you know, the focus on customer behavior, customer experience, yeah, I also want something as a seller, right? I am looking for something, I want something. How do you bridge this gap?
What do you want, Sreekumar?
No.
I need to know what you want.
As a seller, whatever I want.
No,
I'm
you know,
looking for
if
a
you are
particular
like,
customer.
oh, I want something. We have something for you. So first of all, analyze the keywords. You know, if he's saying I want something, then you have something for him, you know. So what do you mean by, the many technical tools, you know, like, so my question is what you want.
Right. Bridging the gap.
Keywords analysis, at least Google Trends, some basic things, you know, like basic, like Google Trends analysis, you know, keyword analysis, and then segmentation very well, you know, like then Google Shopping, YouTube Trends, check your current, obviously, like fully agree with Steve, you have to do your performance analysis. Your customer, you need to have CRM. You need to lead profiles of your customers. You know, like your salespeople have to put down the details about their families, children, grandma birthday, you know, everything. You need to send them gift cards, you know, for this grandma birthday. They will be very happy. You can't imagine how happy they are after pandemic to receive some gifts. During pandemic, everything stopped, and after pandemic, many brands didn't resume, you know, sending gifts, giving, you know, some bags, some stationery, you know. They didn't resume because they are like, oh, cost cutting. And actually, they are losing clients because of these small things, you know. Like you...
Yeah, it's I'm mindful of time, and I think it's important we draw some conclusions, and even if we're brave, to have some things that people can chew on and discuss for the next 3 days. So the pandemic has affected business, so budgets might well be smaller next year than they were this year, or certainly a few years ago. And I would really encourage you to focus on understanding who your high-value customers are. Not just who your customers are, but who your high-value customers are. Who are those top 5% of spenders?
That's what I want.
What are their needs? And then do an audit of the organization. It might be simple, it might be complex, but what are our high-margin offerings? and try and bridge that gap to your question earlier. And okay, that's a risk of oversimplifying. It's part of my job to help with the complexity of modern marketing. But if budgets are tight, do what you can to understand your high-value customers, what their needs are, look at your service and product offering, where are the margins, and then how can we then bring in our customer experience strategist, data analyst, business analyst, and say between the three of them, these are the people that we want to sell to, this is what we want to sell to them, give us a strategy. And then we will design a way to operationalize and check in with our technology stack and see if we need to make any improvements there, check in with our processes. They should be agile. If they're not, move in that direction now, to make sure that that all ladders up to selling the things that our business makes most money on to the people that buy from us most.
So what would be your, just in 1 or 2 lines, what would be your advice to those who are prospecting? Everybody is prospecting, isn't it? What is your advice to those who are prospecting?
Starts at the top. I mentioned it earlier.
So,
What people running the business, what are your KPIs as an individual? Are they sales-driven, acquisition-driven, /acquisition-driven, or are they incremental customer lifetime value-driven? If they're the first, then find a way to shift them to the latter. If you don't, you'll always find yourself limited and banging the drum of experimentation, personalization, optimization in a culture that simply doesn't suit that. And then you have to ask yourself, am I in the right company? That's where I would start. Everything falls downhill from there.
All right. Yes, Anne?
From my side, I think the main message was already clear about do analytics. Like do analysis, do analysis and do the strategy. But this is one thing, adjust to the reality, just accept it as it is. You have to go with the flow, you have to be fast moving, you have to change, But with this change, you still have to be consistent. It can't be that you have different strategy every month or even every half a year, like you can do readjustments. But you have to have consistency. Nobody will remember you. You will not stand out of the crowd. People will not remember what you are special about. When I ask agencies, like, what are you doing, guys? They're like, we're a 360-degree agency. This is something, somebody invented this phrase, like maybe 15 years back, and people still now use it. We propose bespoke solutions, This is not something unique, okay? You have to stand out, think about what you do the best. Really, what you do, you do everything, but what you do the best. People should know that, they're a cool agency, they do everything, but they are perfect in SEO, for example, or Google Ads, They're specialized for that. If you're saying we are good in everything, you are not good in anything.
How many of you are doing that? Sorry to interrupt. What she said just now. How many of you really doing that close to your heart?
Nobody will say, come on. Everybody does it in that matter. This is not about this is better, good, but just readjust and be proactive and be very much consistent. And most important, work on the client, not acquisition only, but on retention. Because of highly competitive market, the customer behavior that they like to switch brands and try this and here and there, They don't have that much loyalty already to brands as before. They will not buy from BBDO just because this is BBDO anymore. If they will not give you good service, they will like, I will go to a small agency, and they don't care. So retain them as much as possible. Build loyalty programs and work with this.
There's one addition to my model earlier around high value customers, high margin products. Brief your BA, digital analyst, customer experience strategist to design around that, and that's privacy. So what are the bounds of possibility for collecting first and third party data in the region of those high value customers? And we need to nod towards that. We are 5 minutes away from time, so I think we should
20 minutes.
open this up to...
Any questions?
So my last question before that.
You have another.
I think that says 4 minutes.
Question,
It's a bit hard to
They
see.
have a question,
Oh, yeah.
4 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's sum
It's
up.
definitely question time.
Let's
That's
sum
why
up.
I'm skulking around, making hand signals at you. Do you have any questions for the audience? There's a microphone here, so if you'd like to come up and ask your question into the mic there, introduce your lovely self. Tell us your name and where you're from, and then ask your question.
We are from United States and India. And my question is more specific on the prospecting cycle of it. So there are two approaches, right? One is a spray and pray when you drive your marketing strategy, and second one is maintaining a niche of attracting a customer. Right from defining the buyer persona to executing the marketing strategies out there. For example, global FMCG brand, they just they are driving their marketing initiatives only on the YouTube as one of their main channels out there. So what is your preference? Maintaining a niche in terms of buyer persona and getting to the channels, or spray and pray?
What industry are you in?
It is global. So from your perspective, what is the most preferred way? What have you done post-pandemic from a prospecting side of it? Was it spray and pray or maintaining a niche of your brand actually in terms of acquiring the customer?
So two approaches: spray and pray marketing, which is hit and hope, less targeted.
I would. Okay.
Versus niching down and targeting less customers intentionally with a specific market offering.
That depends on the niche.
Depends on the business. I mean, you mentioned
Depends on the business.
FMCG. Not too many people are loyal to their chocolate bars. So spray and pray if you're selling chocolate bars. But I think I'd answered this earlier about who are your high value customers and what are your high margin products. And if you can answer those two questions, then you'll, sorry to relay your question back to you, but you will find your answer.
Anyone else? Any other questions that would you like to? This is so we get to see you guys. So you form a line in front of the microphone. It's fine.
Hi, I have a question for Steve specifically. So,
Lift the microphone up a bit.
yeah, I have a question for Steve specifically. So, Steve, I work with this agency called Ting. I head operations at Ting, and one of the KRAs for me is driving digital transformation for us, right? In terms of how we can use technology to become better, become more productive, so that we are able to give the clients a better experience, if you will. One of the fundamental challenges that I've faced is there are certain, at least in India, in the marketing landscape, there are certain manual ways in terms of how we've been doing work, right? In terms of, say for example, for CRM, we'll be maintaining Google Sheets, correct? In terms of communication, we'll be relying on WhatsApp. In terms of making reports, we'll be downloading Excel sheets from different platforms and then making reports or spending a lot of time. Now, are there technological solutions that help you kind of solve these challenges? Yes. But it comes down to one simple question, which is it's a mindset shift for people, right? So recently we've deployed Slack as a platform for communication internally. But what we're asking people to do is to change their mindset in terms of stop thinking about WhatsApp when you want to communicate with someone work-wise internally, but move on to Slack. So that challenge, that adoption challenge, right? How do you go about solving that? The standard response I've heard from different software solutions or platforms or people is you do demos, you roll it out phase-wise, etc. But at the end of the day, when it's about changing the mindset, right, in terms of your experience, what can we do better to ensure that whatever software we are getting on board, the adoption is a lot more healthy?
So there's a few questions under there. How do we stop doing less manual work? How can we stop marketing in channels where we can't control the data? And how can we change within our organization to other ways of communicating? Is that right?
No, actually, I'll try and re-articulate it. So there's a manual way of doing things in terms of whatever people do in an agency, right? There are software solutions that transform the way you work. So the manual intervention kind of reduces. But for people to adopt these software solutions on a day-to-day basis, it's a mindset shift for them, right? Because they've been used to doing things in a certain way for the last 4 or 5 years. To drive that mindset shift, right, what are the steps that we can take?
Okay, so this is an organizational change that you're looking to make. You need to do some internal marketing. So you need to communicate what the pain point is of doing it today's way, and then amplify that with examples.
So that's what I refer to. I mean, these standard things, if you will, right? Like, for example, internal communication, doing multiple demos, phase-wise rollout, right? Rollout in batches, etc. We've taken those steps, but we are seeing
Motivate.
So why don't people want to change if you've taken those steps?
that is what, honestly, right now we are in the process of trying to find that out. But I was wondering if, in your experience, if there's anything else you feel we can do apart from these things.
If they're not willing to, if they're not wanting to change, then they don't understand the problem well enough, or the intensity of the problem well enough, which is communicate what the pain point is for working this way with Slack versus Teams, or whatever the changes you want to make, but don't talk about the solution. Just focus on what's not working. You would need to slow down, and that might mean involving whoever's holding you to account for making this change needs to just back off a bit, because you need to do an education piece to explain to those that you want to change their mindset of exactly why what they're doing doesn't working. And just continue to focus on that until they can then tell back to you. It's a bit of a fundamental question, but explain back to me what I've just explained to you. The people in your organization can then start asking for the change.
I can feel
At that point, they own the movement and they're not being dictated to.
I can feel you never had a situation where your developer was like literally yelling at you because he doesn't want to track his time in the CRM. He's like, why should I do it? Why? And then like for 10 minutes, why? I don't like tracking time. I shouldn't be going there. And he's very nervous and nagging. This is, I think, what he's saying about, because people don't want to change. Younger generation, they don't want to use this. The only thing, you just need to give them time. First of all, they need to have, for sure, the reason to use it. And this reason shouldn't be just for you, like as a company. Because obviously this makes your life easier, but the system should be in such a way done that it makes easier for them. For me, it's like if they didn't do the tracking and didn't pay them salary. That's it.
Are you looking to convince...
They are motivated.
Sorry to use a hierarchical question.
Guys,
but
I was just going to say, because we're well over time.
For the sake of
perhaps we can have this-
are you looking to convince people above you or below you to make this change? Below, then use emotions. If it's above you, use numbers.
That's already done.
Perhaps we can have this chat during a networking break. That would be awesome. But thank you. Really quickly. Is it really quick? If it's really quick.
Good morning. My name is Pramod. I run a digital marketing agency, and I thought I would define it as 360-degree, but I'll keep myself away from that. My question is very simple. You have been talking about high-value customers during this discussion quite a few number of times. And there is another school of thought which says you got to play on your strength, and not everyone needs to be the company which manufactures the Mercedes and the Audis and the BMWs. So if a company's strength is managing customers which are low-value customers, but we can strive to have more numbers, how do you look at this school of thought vis-a-vis what you just mentioned, that the way you can grow is by having focus more on high-value customers?
Value is not spend. So if you have more people spending less, the cumulative answer is that they are of higher value than less people spending more. So my point still is valid, I believe, because...
Absolutely.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying we need to focus on our strength, but our strength is not necessarily people who are spending the most money with us, but there's more of them. So you're considering the cumulative value of the segment as your metric, not how much dollar these people are actually spending with us as individuals.
So it's not just the number of, it's not the amount that a customer would be spending. It's rather the total number of revenue that you're able to generate as a whole. Is that what you're saying?
From that segment, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. And I think we're saying huge round of applause for our panelists, please. What a great discussion. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. You can leave the microphones there. It's
Thank
fine.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Have a great 3 days.